I'll be giving you guys a brief overview of some of the things we do in the pavement section related specifically to asphalt. So let's jump right in and start with asphalt density. So this is a table we add to every year, and basically it's a running comparison of our mainline asphalt density results. So we start with the construction year, the total tons of asphalt paved that year, the average density, the standard deviation of the average density, the total cores taken in that year, and the percent of those cores greater than or equal to the 1.0 payout, which is 92%, and the longitudinal joint density. So the columns we'll focus on here are the average density and the longitudinal joint density. So the average density is for mainline only, like I said, and it's been pretty steadily increasing or maintaining every year since about 2017. And we even broke 94% for the 2024 paving season, which was pretty awesome. And we don't have quite as much data for longitudinal joint densities, but we've also seen a pretty steady increase there each year. And 2014 is in there just kind of as a reference. We did some research on that year to know kind of where we started from. So these increases can be attributed to many things, but some of the biggest reasons for us and some of the things that stick out are the introduction of regressed air voids in the mix design. That was about 2020 or 2021. The introduction of the notched wedge for our longitudinal joints, as seen in the picture. Paver innovations such as the SDX screed, which has these diamond-shaped grooves on the bottom that help to knead the mix. It's believed that this typically results in like a smoother ride and a better density straight off the paver screed. Incentivizing density, and that is our density adjustment pay factor table. And as you can see, the 1.0 pay factor is 92 to 92.9%, like I mentioned, which means anything above that results in incentive and anything below results in disincentive. And finally, special provisions such as intelligent compaction and the paver-mounted thermal profiler, which you heard about a little earlier. So where does all this data come from? Each day of paving on a project, a paving workbook has to be filled out with all of the information for that day, such as tonnage paved, bitumen contents, aggregate gradation, density information, coring data, et cetera, et cetera. And towards the end of a calendar year, Materials and Research collects all of the paving workbooks for that year, sorts them by project, and uses a data importer to collect the information we specifically need for our master spreadsheet. And this is why it is super important that you take the time to fill out the paving workbook correctly and use the drop-down options correctly. Makes my job a lot easier. So from that master spreadsheet, we're able to crunch all the data and create reports that we need. And the top picture is a snip of our master spreadsheet. It's a pretty small snip, I know, but it looks ridiculous, and it kind of is. But we're able to learn a lot from this data. And below that is a snip of the first page of an empty paving workbook, which I'm sure most of you have seen before, and if not, you will definitely be seeing it at some point. So another thing our section handles is the ride quality data. And when we say ride quality, we're referring to how smooth the new pavement is. This is important because typically the one thing the general public notices above all else is how smooth and quiet a road is. So once the paving has wrapped up on a job, we are notified that it's ready, and we send our technician Nate out with our inertial profiler, similar to the one seen there. And it has two lasers, one in each wheel path, and the lasers collect the roughness of the road in inches of roughness per mile, also known as the International Roughness Index, or IRI, and that data is uploaded. We then put it into a software called ProVal, and this is what it looks like once it's uploaded. We're able to add in the exception areas, which are areas that it's typically more difficult to achieve a smooth ride in, such as like bridge ends, the beginning and ending of a project, through towns with curb and gutter. So then we analyze it and print some reports out. Then we input the results into this spreadsheet, which has all of the lot locations, distances, the location of event markers, and the incentive and disincentive information for that project. This is what is shared to the project inspector, who then works with the contractor on where to perform corrective action or diamond grinding if necessary to smooth lots out. So then Nate returns and runs the project with the inertial profiler again, and he's just making sure that the grinding was successful and the lots that required corrective action are now below the threshold and good to go. So what do we do with all of this data? One of the big things is that the DOT hands out a quality award every year, and that is based off the ride quality and the density of a project. So the graph in the top left corner there is what we use to determine our winner. We plot a project's average density versus the average MRI and go from there. Also, we create a yearly report and share it with our internal HMA advancement group. And doing this helps inform decisions about upcoming projects and any changes we need to make to our special provisions and specifications. It feels like we're constantly progressing, revisiting old decisions, and evolving using this data. And finally, it is just really good information to have on hand for us. It seems like there's always someone reaching out with questions and looking for numbers and ideas. Okay, so we will shift gears here a little bit. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the climate challenge. So sustainability in pavements and the transportation world in general is a super hot topic right now. Our section has had a very heavy hand in heading some of these efforts. So in 2022, our group submitted a project called Sustainable Pavements Evaluation to Federal Highways Climate Challenge. And we were awarded $240,000 to pursue our project. And very long story short here, with the funding we received, we hired the National Center for Asphalt Technology, or NCAT, to help us understand the environmental footprint of our asphalt mixes. And we are specifically looking into environmental product declarations, or EPDs. I'm sure some of you have heard that acronym by now, and an EPD is basically a nutrition label for an asphalt mix, explaining all of the different greenhouse gas emissions or carbon dioxide equivalent, how many tons were created for creating that asphalt mix. So we've been working with some contractors in North Dakota to collect information on their portable asphalt plants. And the idea here is that whatever we learn from this project, whatever it is, we wanted to have the knowledge and the abilities at our disposal. We just want to be prepared for anything that comes down the pipeline in the future. Of course, if anything would ever come down the pipeline. And this project is scheduled to finish up in the late fall of this year.